The sirens began just after 2 a.m. on June 15, 2025, a sound Israelis knew all too well. For years these alarms had been a grim part of life, a warning that danger was near but also a reassurance that the country's defenses would hold. Yet, on this night, there was a different feeling in the air, a sense of dread that something had fundamentally changed. But this time, the barrage was different. Relentless, overwhelming, and closer than ever before. The sky was lit up with streaks of fire as wave after wave of missiles rained down, their numbers and speed unlike anything seen before. The familiar rhythm of attack and defense was shattered, replaced by chaos and uncertainty. Families rushed to shelters, hearts pounding as explosions echoed across cities from Haifa to Ashdod. Parents clutched their children trying to offer comfort in the darkness, while the ground shook with each distant blast. In those tense moments every second felt like an eternity and the fear was palpable. Reports of direct hits in Tel Aviv, fires near Haifa, and chaos in Beersheba shattered the illusion of safety. Emergency responders raced through smoke-filled streets searching for survivors and battling flames. The scale of destruction was unlike anything the nation had experienced in recent memory. For years, Israel's Iron Dome and its sister systems had been a near-impenetrable shield, allowing life to continue under threat. People had learned to trust in the technology, to believe that no matter how many rockets were fired, most would be stopped before they could do harm. But that night, the shield failed. The psychological blow was immediate and profound. For the first time, people realized that the systems they had relied on could be overwhelmed, that their sense of invincibility was an illusion. The nation's faith in its technology, its promise of safety, was broken. Conversations in shelters and living rooms turned from hope to anxiety, as people wondered if this was just the beginning of something even worse. The question on everyone's mind: what changed? Why wasn't the Iron Dome working? Military experts and ordinary citizens alike searched for answers, desperate to understand how their trusted defenses had been breached so suddenly and so completely. The answer: hypersonic missiles, launched by Iran and its proxies, moving too fast and unpredictably for Israel's defenses. These new weapons traveled at incredible speeds, maneuvering in ways that made them nearly impossible to intercept, rendering existing technology obsolete in a matter of minutes. This was more than a military attack. It was a message. The era of guaranteed technological supremacy was over. Israel, long seen as a fortress of innovation and security, now faced a threat that could not be easily countered or contained. The night the sky fell marked not just a military crisis, but a profound rupture in the sense of security for millions. The psychological scars would linger long after the fires were extinguished, as families grappled with a new sense of vulnerability. As dawn broke over a battered landscape, Israel was now facing a new terrifying reality, one where old certainties had vanished and the future was more uncertain than ever before. To grasp the scale of the June attack, you need to understand Israel's layered missile defense. Think of it as a team: Iron Dome for short-range rockets, David's Sling for medium threats, and Arrow for long-range ballistic missiles. Iron Dome intercepts rockets up to 70 kilometers away, protecting cities near Gaza and Lebanon. David's Sling covers the gap, targeting more advanced, longer-range threats. Arrow, especially Arrow 3, is the last line, intercepting missiles high in space, even those carrying non-conventional warheads. Each system is designed for a specific threat, creating a multi-layered shield. For years, this fortress worked, intercepting thousands of rockets and giving Israelis a sense of invincibility. But the June attack exposed the limits of this approach. The shield, once thought unbreakable, was suddenly full of holes. The layered defense was never designed for what came next. Hypersonic missiles, once a term familiar only to military insiders and defense experts, have suddenly become a household word, dominating headlines and sparking conversations around the world almost overnight. These cutting-edge weapons travel at astonishing speeds, over 5 times the speed of sound, which means they cover more than a mile every single second. That's Mach 5 and beyond, making them some of the fastest objects ever created by humans. But speed isn't their only advantage. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that follow a predictable arc, hypersonic missiles can maneuver during flight, weaving and changing direction, making their paths nearly impossible to predict or track. Imagine trying to intercept a bird darting unpredictably through the air, rather than a clay pigeon flying along a set straight path. That's the challenge defenders now face. This combination of blistering speed and agile maneuvering makes hypersonic missiles extremely difficult, if not impossible, for conventional missile defense systems to stop. When Iran made its leap into hypersonic technology, likely with significant outside assistance, it sent shockwaves through the global military community and changed the strategic balance in the region. For years, Israel's edge was its ability to block and neutralize incoming attacks, but the arrival of hypersonic missiles shattered that long-held assumption, exposing new vulnerabilities. Suddenly, the billions spent on advanced defense systems seemed almost obsolete, as if the rules of the game had changed overnight. Hypersonic missiles aren't just faster, they're specifically engineered to outsmart and bypass everything Israel and others have built to protect themselves. The threat was no longer just theoretical or something for war games, it was real, immediate, and right at Israel's doorstep. Israel's defense establishment found itself scrambling for answers, racing to adapt to this new and rapidly evolving threat. The age of hypersonic warfare had truly arrived, ushering in a new era of uncertainty and strategic challenges for nations everywhere. The main reason Israel's advanced air defenses failed to stop the attack? In a word, speed. Hypersonic missiles travel at velocities that are simply staggering, far beyond what traditional missile defense systems were ever designed to handle. These missiles move so fast, often exceeding 5 times the speed of sound, that detection, tracking, and interception become nearly impossible. Their velocity compresses the entire engagement timeline to mere seconds, leaving defenders with almost no time to react. By the time ground-based radars spot a hypersonic missile and computers begin calculating its trajectory, the missile has already covered vast distances. To make matters worse, many hypersonic missiles can maneuver unpredictably, changing course mid-flight and making their path even harder to predict or intercept. The window to launch an interceptor shrinks to just a few seconds. Commanders and operators must make split-second decisions, often with incomplete information, under immense pressure. At Mach 5 and above, the missile is wrapped in a sheath of superheated plasma. This plasma cloud disrupts radar signals, making the missile almost invisible, a ghost on the screens, further complicating any attempt at interception. Israel's layered defense system relies on time. Time to detect, time to hand off targets between systems, and time to coordinate a response. Each layer is designed to buy precious seconds for the next. But hypersonic missiles blitz through all these layers before the defenses can even react. Their speed and maneuverability allow them to bypass or overwhelm each shield in rapid succession. The speed itself becomes the weapon, shattering the carefully timed relay of Israel's shield. The entire defense sequence is disrupted, as if the baton in a relay race is snatched away before the next runner can even reach out. The result? A system built for yesterday's threats is suddenly outpaced by today's reality. The rapid evolution of offensive missile technology has left even the most advanced defenses struggling to keep up. The sword now moves faster than the shield can ever hope to block. The balance between offense and defense has shifted dramatically. In an instant, Israel's technological advantage, once considered unassailable, was rendered almost irrelevant by the sheer speed and sophistication of hypersonic weapons. Speed wasn't the only problem. Quantity was too. Missile defense is a numbers game, and interceptors are expensive and limited. Iran's strategy: overwhelm the system with a saturation attack, launching waves of cheap rockets, drones, and advanced missiles all at once. Even the best system runs out of interceptors eventually. As stocks dwindled, commanders faced impossible choices: protect a city, or save interceptors for the next wave. Iran mixed slow, cheap threats with hypersonics, forcing Israel to waste precious interceptors. The economic imbalance was stark. Cheap rockets could exhaust million-dollar defenses. The shield became a finite resource, vulnerable to brute force. The crisis was as much about quantity as quality. Israel's technological edge was no match for relentless, overwhelming numbers. Iron Dome's selectivity, its ability to ignore rockets headed for open areas, was once a strength. But attackers exploited this, targeting infrastructure just outside defended zones. Industrial parks, power stations, and pipelines became new targets, blurring the line between safe and vulnerable. The system's logic, designed to save interceptors, now let critical assets be destroyed. The sheer volume of rockets overwhelmed the system's ability to track and prioritize. In the chaos, some threats slipped through, others were miscategorized. The attackers turned Iron Dome's smartest feature into a blind spot. Israelis could no longer trust that a safe impact meant no harm. The calculated risk of selective defense now felt reckless. The enemy had studied the system and found its weakness. The failure of Israel's shield wasn't just strategic, it was deeply personal. Cities like Tel Aviv and Haifa were scarred by direct hits, daily life ground to a halt, schools, hospitals, and homes became targets, the economy froze, and fear spread everywhere. The psychological toll was immense. Parents struggled to comfort terrified children, and the old sense of resilience was shaken. The warning time for hypersonic missiles was nearly zero. Nowhere felt safe. The 15-second rule for sheltering became meaningless. The entire nation lived under siege, with anxiety and fear replacing normalcy. The crisis of confidence extended beyond the military. It was a crisis of daily life. The shield was gone, and the sense of safety vanished with it. For millions, vigilance and fear became the new normal. Life under a porous shield was a life forever changed. In the aftermath, Israel and the US raced to adapt. The focus, better detection, and faster interceptors, possibly space-based sensors and AI-driven guidance. Early warning is now everything. Every second counts. Developing interceptors that can match hypersonic speed is a monumental challenge. The US and Israel are pooling resources, fast-tracking research, and sharing technology. But defense isn't enough. Offensive capabilities are back in focus. Deterrence now means threatening overwhelming retaliation, not just blocking attacks. This shift risks escalation, but the old doctrine is no longer viable. America's support is crucial, militarily, technologically, and diplomatically. The path forward is uncertain, but the race to restore stability is on. Hypersonic missiles didn't just shatter Israel's defenses, they changed the Middle East. Iran and its allies feel emboldened, believing they've finally leveled the playing field. Regional stability is at risk. Arab states may seek their own advanced weapons, fueling a new arms race. The fragile peace built in recent years could unravel. Globally, military planners are watching, realizing hypersonic warfare is now a reality. The breach of Israel's shield is a warning. No defense is permanent, no advantage absolute. The sword now moves at 5 times the speed of sound. The future of warfare and national security has changed forever. The night the sky fell was a glimpse into a faster, more dangerous world.